Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is episode 1 of a new series that I'm calling Genshin and Chill, where we play Genshin Impact together. That means casual questing, resource gathering, and just general adventuring around at our own pace. The only real goal is to relax and unwind with some nice music. We might even find some beautiful spots along the way too. Feel free to tune in the whole time, or just leave this on in the background while you do other things. I'll be here playing whenever you want to check in. As you'll probably be able to tell from my footage, I am a relatively new player to Genshin Impact. I believe I started a little bit into December, but I've been a bit busy since then, so haven't really played consistently, so I only really have the 4 starter characters and my 4 starter characters, but I really enjoy them. I think Amber is definitely my favorite, and from the little bit of information that I've seen online, I think she's also kind of a fan favorite, so that's really fun. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to, in the future, maybe getting some new characters, making some wishes, but for now, I'm pretty satisfied with the ones that I have. I primarily use the Traveler as my main character, I suppose, just as my default. I really like characters with swords, but I try to hop between them when I can, just to try them out and see their abilities. I came up with the idea for this series just based off of my initial reactions of the game and my impression that it's such a wonderful game to unwind with and to relax with. I'm unfamiliar about the community at large, so I'm not sure sort of people's impressions of the game, but I can assume just based off of the artwork, the music, and sort of the vibe of the storyline alone that I'm sure a lot of people like myself really enjoy this game as something to do at the end of the day, just to turn your brain off and do something really fun. So I thought, what a perfect game to just kind of chit chat while I play. What a perfect game to play with you all at home, tag along for my little adventures. I am not the best player, as you'll see. I'm still trying to kind of get a handle on the functions, on the gameplay, but overall I think it's super fun. And even if you're not good at the battle mechanics, even if you're not the best player, I think there's so many aspects to love about this game, you know, whether it's strictly visuals, strictly audio, strictly storyline. There's so many different aspects to the game to really fall in love with it in your own way, and that's really how I've been enjoying it. As a gamer and as someone who's played a lot of different kinds of games, it's really fun to play Genshin Impact and see a lot of the lines of inspiration that the game has taken to craft the world and the game mechanics. I see so much of Breath of the Wild in this game, and I know that some people have looked at that as kind of a negative, almost like this is trying to be a copy, but I really feel like even just the taking of the sort of open world mechanics and exploration mechanics have been really beneficial to this game, and I attribute a lot of that to Breath of the Wild for setting that up and creating a really wonderful sort of a light fantasy structure to follow. I will admit at times it's a little funny, the direct comparisons, but overall, as a lover of both games, I think they can both coexist, and I think they both set out to do really different things, and that's why both of them are successful. But speaking of elements of different games, I love these NPCs in Genshin. I know sometimes in the story line portions of the game and sort of the main quests, it can be a little heavy-handed with the words and the dialogue, but I find that in the open world I really enjoy all the little characters. It seems like everybody really has their own story and is nestled really nicely into their own community, into their own portion of the overworld, so I really enjoy that. I find it super charming, and it really adds a level of, not realism, but I guess immersion, fantasy immersion for all intents and purposes that I really like. Although I've only started really playing Genshin Impact relatively recently, this has actually been a game that I've been wanting to play and wanting to check out for quite a while now. It's one that I've seen pop up on social media. I've seen clips of different, YouTubers and streamers playing it, and I don't know what it was about the game, but I just knew I really wanted to check it out. Maybe it's the Fire Emblem fan in me that just really likes seeing, the sort of that anime, fantasy style, character design and story. I'm not sure. It could have just been a pretty game that I wanted to check out. But what has surprised me so much as someone who's sort of thought about this game much longer than I've actually been playing the game is just how much game there is. I had no idea how much there would be to do in a free-to-play game. I grew up playing a lot of free-to-play MMOs when I was younger, and I swear to God, I don't know if it's, the me becoming an adult and looking at things differently, but there is just such an insane amount of content in this game, and I'm not complaining. It's so crazy, from all the different currencies, the main storyline, the side quests, the sort of world quests, the daily tasks, the adventure rank, the world rank, and then there's the whole question and discussion of all of the characters and, just the whole other universe that is making wishes and trying to get different characters. It's really overwhelming in the best way possible, in the way of your hobby giving you a lot of amazing content. I'm really excited to continue playing the game and just explore more of this massive world. I actually watched a beginner's guide to the game made semi-recently. I'll put a link to it in the description below because it was super helpful for me, but it just reinforced the idea that there's just so much to this game and that there's just so much to the character acquisition aspect alone. I don't know how other Genshin fans feel, I don't know what the consensus is, but I am so overwhelmed by the wishing function, by the primo gems, I'm not sure how to pronounce them, but maybe over time I'll sort of get a feel for it, but I literally thought that I would get Jean and all the other characters to Duke just by playing, so obviously it makes total sense to me that there would be the aspect of, spending money to get extra characters. I'm not upset at all, and it is to be expected in a free-to-play game, but I think I just feel more like a small fish in a very big pond, in an ocean rather, when playing this game, and it is humbling, but it's also super exciting because there's a lot to do. But I would be super curious, and I'll have to look more into sort of how people feel about the wishing aspect and what that's all about. The pity, I've heard the word pity a million times. I think I know what it is, but I don't know if it's real or not. It's like a myth, so smash that like button for pity. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, it's just really crazy, and I hope I'm not alone in that feeling. As someone who has a channel centered around cozy games, mainly plays cozy games in their own spare time, even for me, I find it really interesting and funny the breadth and the variety of types of games that can somehow fit under the umbrella of a cozy game. I think maybe from the outside, a game like Genshin Impact, when you actually think about, the combat and the actual in-game mechanics, you would maybe not think it would be such a cozy title, but one of the things that, at least for me, through my limited experience thus far, makes it such a great game for comfort is actually just the art itself. And the art coupled with the day to night cycle as well as the music. I find myself so often in the game just panning around to the scenery and taking in the sound of the air, the sound of the water, and just that perfect background music with strings or piano or whatever it may be. It's so nice. It's so cathartic to just fly around. And yeah, it also gets points for giving you the little wings to fly around, because who doesn't have the fantasy of being a bird and just gliding around an amazing environment? So speaking of different aspects of this game, I'm really curious to find out. Maybe later I'll have to do some deep diving online or just look in these comments if you guys are chatting with me, but Paimon. What do people feel about Paimon? How do we feel about Paimon? My initial impressions were really positive, and I mean, everything I say is relative anyways because I haven't been playing too long, but I think Paimon's design is really cute, and I actually do like the idea of a sort of floating companion, a floating friend who's with you throughout your journeys, but I do know that sometimes that can be a bit of a fickle position, as we've learned from the Legend of Zelda games, for example, Navi syndrome. I think it can become really easy to get sick of your companion, or like Midna. However, I like Paimon. I like the idea of Paimon, but Paimon's voice, I go back and forth. And sort of Paimon's dialogue, I understand that she's probably sort of meant to be a somewhat self-aware representation of the annoying sidekick who makes certain comments and is a little much like a little sister, kind of troublesome and annoying, but you love them. But am I wrong for not being the biggest Paimon fan? I find myself always skipping through her little dialogue lines and just getting a touch annoyed with her. Of course, I'm not a Paimon hater by any means, but am I alone in this, or has the fan base as a whole just kind of accepted that Paimon is Paimon and we just accept her for her faults? I'd be really interested to hear what people have to say. Also, one thing that I, in contrast to Paimon, have just absolutely loved since the beginning is the freaking food in this game. You guys, I have played quite a few games that have food mechanics, have food items. The first one that comes to mind is Final Fantasy 15 with Ignis whipping up the best, most scrumptious, most delicious, just steamy, mouth-watering dishes I've ever seen in video games thus far. But guys, Genshin really gives it a run for its money, because the food in this game, genuinely, I would like to donate all of my future earnings to the department that came up with all of these amazing foods and the artwork to accompany them. Like, I'm genuinely blown away and just delighted that they invested so much into food and food items. And all of them giving different, stat buffs. I know that that's pretty commonplace, I guess, in food items in games, but still, I'm just blown away by the diversity of dishes, the fact that there's desserts, there's main courses, there's appetizers, there's like interesting otherworldly pudding type items. It's just so fabulous, and I don't even need to do any searching to know that there's probably so many amazing fan-created cookbooks and accounts dedicated to recreating the foods, so I know that I'll have a lot of content in real life as well to recreate some of these dishes, but guys, the food. I play this game at night and it always makes me hungry, so thank you, but no thank you to the developers for making me want to snack every time I play the game, but God, the food really gets me together. Those like little jade pockets? They look like little soup dumplings. I would give anything to eat those in real life. What is your guys' favorite food item? I feel like the jade pockets right now are really big for me, but honestly, I would take any of them on any day. If you've made it this far, I just want to say a huge thank you for tuning in for our very first Genshin and Chill. I might still play around with the format a bit as we go to fine-tune how much talking I include versus just silent gameplay, but so far so good. I'm really vibing with it, and I'm excited to make this a safe space, not only to zone out, but also to hang out while we play some good old Genshin Impact. So I really hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.